There's so many flubs and fuck ups that, were there, but nobody cared then, and I didn't care listening. And then I realized
different in the jam
the band
than what you normally get. Trey Beer from what he normally played, which
I love this song, and I love hearing it in this incarnation of it, this version of it.
Welcome back to Wook Plus in this very, very special Wook Club. I'm Weekend Wook. I'm joined by Kev's Great Went. So Phish just recently released the Spectrum box set, and someone in the comments, I didn't actually write down who, but for one of our shows, somebody was like, "Hey, you guys should talk about Spectrum," and I was like, "Well, I'm going to listen to it anyway." Kev's listening to it. Kev went to it, so I was like, "Fuck it, let's have a Wook Club about it." So welcome, Kev. What do you think about this first show? So tonight we're going to talk, or right now we're going to talk about 12-2. And tomorrow, I think around lunchtime, we're going to talk about 12-3, right? That's the game plan.
That's the game plan, yes.
So what do you think about this first night, about this 12-2 show?
I had such a good time that I woke up the next morning and drove back up there.
We should do that again. Were you not planning originally to do both, or is that just a joke?
The morning of this show, someone called me and said, "I got a ticket for Phish in Philly tonight if you want to go." And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Well,
I had already seen, I had just got back from, I guess, Worcester. They did 3 nights, right? Worcester. And then there was also Hampton before that. And I was going to Dayton and Penn State after. I was like, I'm seeing a lot of Phish shows.
Yeah. Well, I guess why not hit 2 more? And these two, I think, are probably arguably the best from the ones you just mentioned, at least. I really enjoyed listening to this. It had been a while since I'd listened to it, and I had forgotten about some of it. It was really nice. You want to get into it? First set?
Yes.
All right, take us off.
Look at that. Buried Alive. I mean, great opener. Perfect to go into Down with Disease, which is funny because that's been a topic of conversation. I enjoyed it. It didn't completely it didn't stay Bliss the whole time, but I don't think it ever got itself completely together.
The Disease or the
Disease? I just skipped right into the
Disease. No, that's good. I was wondering what you thought about it because we were doing the seeding for the bracket recently. We were talking about how Disease is kind of like, we know it's a great song and a good jam vehicle, but it always just kind of falls. And this is another perfect example. It's like, I like this jam, right? I think it was a pretty solid version, but by the end of the show, you're not talking about this Disease, right? Like it falls and it pales in comparison to a lot of these other jams. I love Mike's bass in this though. Holy shit, he does like a cool modulation thing on it, but then also has that watery like bloop, bloop, bloop tone to it, which I don't know the technical terms behind it, but it sounds freaking fantastic on the recording.
It does. There was not general admission, and there were chairs on the floor. So, but on the second day when I drove back up there the next day, I bought a ticket at the box office. They still had tickets on sale. Spectrum
was a pretty big venue, though, right?
And they've done a mess of shows. They were all over the East Coast, They had just played Hartford. They had just played Massachusetts,
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like the Disease. The Makisupa, it's fun. I don't know. I'm at a point in my life now where I don't really need to hear Phish do reggae. Even Makisupa, I don't know. It's like, okay. Right. I don't know what else to say, but it's fun, but I'm like, okay.
All right. And I remember thinking at the time, they had on this tour been doing the big songs to open. Like You Enjoy Myself or a Mike song. So Down with Disease to open was really cool. And that they ended up in Makisupa. You were like, all right, we're going to have fun tonight. This is going to be cool.
Yeah. This Chalk Dust was blazing. Holy shit. I don't know that I've ever heard a Chalk Dust this fast. And I wanted to ask you, do you like it that fast? Because like I was impressed, certainly. I was like, holy shit, like that's impressive how like tight it was, but I don't know that I would say I enjoy it more at like lightning 11 speed. Like I almost feel like it's like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you like it that fast?
I like to think of it as, you ever watch like a top spinning, and when it starts going so fast it doesn't look like it's moving?
Yeah.
I think of this like that, and I actually love it because it's so overwhelming. It's so fast. There's so much going on. You can't even really dance to it.
You
just
can't
have to
do
stand
anything.
there.
You like
Right,
just
it's
absorb
chaos.
it. Yeah. Right. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe if it's isolated, I don't think I would like a show that was all that, right?
Right.
Because, spoiler, but like the Mike's Jam in the second that like hit perfectly for me, right? Or even like the Ghost is like super duper funky and like playing stuff like that, I can vibe with way better. But I think as like a isolated flavor and just how impressive it was, how tight they are. I mean, it's cool. It was a very overwhelming. It was like, holy shit, these guys are
Right.
fucking.
Remember, this is the first set, and we've already had a Down with Disease and Chalk Dust that were both respectable. And then we get into the best part of the set.
Yeah, I will say one note about that Chalk Dust though. It was only like 8 or 9 minutes, but if you slowed it down to the speed that Chalk Dust normally is, it would have been like a 25-minute jam. It was just condensed on fast forward. Yeah, the Ghost was the highlight of the set for me by far. Absolutely fantastic, super funky, really interesting jam that went really cool. I love the transition into Divided Sky. Yeah, very solid.
It's very interesting. I like the Ghost. It's getting a lot of hype. I don't know if it's deserved of the hype it's getting on some social medias. It's not a top 10 Ghost. Yeah, it's not a top 10 Ghost or anything like that.
No, I would say it's not even the jam of this night. And we'll be more conclusive tomorrow with fresh memories, but I don't even know that this is the best night and this isn't the best jam of of the night either.
Right.
But that said, of this first set, it was, I think, a highlight for me. It was great.
Right.
I mean, it's super funky.
Right. The Divided Sky, beautiful. They're at the point, it kind of reminds me a lot of 93, where they're taking songs like Divided Sky and pushing them a little bit, where it's pretty much Divided Sky set how it is. But this one, I feel like, and you could tell that they were little apprehensive, still trying to find their way, but at least they were up there in real time doing it,
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. And it's same thing with Dirt. I mean, I think after the Chalk Dust and the Ghost kind of melted my face and brain a little bit, like this was kind of, a nice reprise a little bit. I think it was serviceable. Is that unfortunate to say? Oh, thanks, Bruce. That's a great explanation of the watery bass tone. That's very interesting. Taste. What did you think about the taste?
I like Taste.
Yeah. I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
At this point, it kind of didn't fit the narrative, I don't think, of what they were doing, but it was still hanging around because it was new enough. It was only 2 years old, maybe.
Yeah, I think I have the unfortunate timing of having just listened to the Walnut Creek Taste, which was earlier this year, like earlier in '97. Yesterday, just randomly. I just listened to it, and that I think is like the pinnacle, like best taste that at least I could think of. And this one, it was like it felt kind of weird and not locked in, and then it didn't it didn't fit the set quite as well. So it felt not like 100%. But that said, I will say after hearing the Walnut Creek Taste and this taste and back to back, I have a newfound respect. I mean, I always liked the song, but I think it is kind of grossly underrated. Just listening to those two versions, it's such an rhythmically interesting song, and they play it so well.
Right.
Yeah,
one of
I
those
agree.
ones
The
you
Walnut Creek one was fantastic.
One of those ones you got to nail.
You have to hit
Like
it, right?
riff.
Because if you miss, it kind of falls apart or sounds really sloppy. And I think that was the difference with the Walnut Creek one was perfect, right? Like they just hit it and it was absolutely perfect. This one was really, really good, but it just when you had a direct A/B, comparison, it was like slightly off. Yeah, and then the Star-Spangled Banner, Acappella. Woohoo! That was
cool. I yelled L.
What'd you do? Oh yeah, of course you did. You Baltimore motherfucker.
And you could hear, you hear like 12 people do it throughout the venue, and then you feel the eyes looking at you from all around,
I had never even heard about that until I went to college in Virginia. I was like, all these Maryland people, it's so obvious. Like you're at an event and like all the O's fans just that has to be one of the most annoying things that fans do, though, I think. Right behind the tomahawk chuck, I think, or tomahawk.
Oh, come on.
It's right up there, though.
I mean, it was written down the street from where the Orioles play.
Yeah.
We own that shit.
Yeah.
It was good. It's I never had an issue with the acapella stuff. Basically, it gave you a head start to the bathroom because you knew it was going to close the set.
Yeah. I liked when they did in the beginning of the show to start things off. I felt like that is a better placement than all the ones at the end of the set, because it's like you get in, you get warmed up, and then it's like you start the show. I don't know. I like it.
The Man that year. Remember they opened with Space Oddity and then did Martian Monster?
Yeah, or like I don't know if they did the whole tour, if it was just Baker's, but every show, or was it one of the tours? I don't know. I'm foggy.
Baker's, they did a bunch because they did the White Winter Hymnal one night. I
felt like every show they started with acapella and then did the show, and I was like, that was fun. But no, they're great. The whole barbershop thing, they have great harmonies. They sound good. But anyway, that's not why we listen to Spectrum, though. That's just
if you can't get enough tonight at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, let's do some plugs. Wait, no, not tonight. That's tomorrow night, right?
Oh yeah, it's Monday. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
Okay, so tomorrow at noon Eastern, we will we will discuss 12/3/97. Have a little lunch break with us, and then tomorrow night at 10, we're doing Charleston Night 1 from 2010. That was selected from the Wheel of Fan shows.
Which I'm going to listen to these in like tomorrow morning. I'll listen to the 12/3, even though it's probably one of my most listened to Phish shows. And then I'll have to listen to that show from 10, and it's going to be a disappointment.
I was going to say it's probably going to be our most negative Wook club ever, and it's not its fault because it was an okay show. It was a fun show, but after these two shows, it's hard to compete. Oh well, exactly. That's how it falls.
Right.
And then Wednesday night, you and I think, are flying solo for Live, so it's gonna be a little chaotic, but we'll plan some fun things, and so that's
maybe we'll have a trivia show with.
Oh yeah, you're gonna give us some more work. We have 9 hours of Phish to listen to in the next 24 hours, and you want to give us some more work? Man, we can do some trivia.
Things that a Wook would have in his backpack.
All right, let's see.
Top 5 answers on the board. There you go.
Oh, that would be fun. We should call Andy. We should have Andy stop by and do a Family Feud. That'd
Andy
be great.
was just here.
I know, he's in the chat. Andy, let's talk. All right. I love doing plays publicly, dude. Okay, so the other day we're talking seating for the bracket, and you're like, oh, Mike's by itself doesn't really hold up, we should slide it down. And the entire time I'm listening to this 20-minute beautiful fucking mics, I'm like, oh, I don't know why I listened to you. This was fucking fantastic. It was so good.
Mike's so benefited from 97. I mean, they opened up, you got the second jams there. It was it's pretty fantastic. But yeah, so much space. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the places they went there.
Yeah, I just thought that it was really locked in, and oh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. No, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't have anything specific beyond that. I think that this is the perfect organic development of a jam, right? Like there's no sound effects, there's no extra shit. It's just a four perfectly locked in musical people playing off of each other, and it's not too fast. There's no gimmick even in that sense. Like obviously now modern Phish, we have all the pedals and shit, right? But even I would argue that the Chuck Dust, right, like that's gimmicky too, right? Like we're just like, let's play light and where like you can't even keep up. I feel like this was just pure musicianship, right? Like just nothing but locked in perfect jamming. In my estimation. I mean, I and honestly, I like the simple too. And I know like T is always like, oh, don't mess with the Holy Trinity and you can't have mics without hydrogen. But I thought the segue was pretty solid. I thought
the segue was perfect, and then they stopped and redid it.
I know. That's why
they were so there, and then they like thought about it for a second. And
I think that was Phish's fault. Second guessed it. But that jam was great too.
Right, simple for me is the song that comes out of Mike's. I don't know if it's because coming up, I saw a lot of Mike's simple once they started playing it. But the Mike song had a really nice, quieter space there for a little bit, weirder space before they went back into the second part. And like I said, I think they totally had found simple. And then I guess you're saying Fishman's the one who.
Well, the transition was great, but then Phish was kind of like, all right, let's put a punctuation on it. So it kind of stopped, did like a fill,
right,
and gave us the one. And he didn't need to give the one because the whole band was already there.
On the one.
Know.
I felt like I felt like when we got towards the end of this, before they made the move towards the Dogface Boy sounding stuff, you're getting foreshadowing of the one that comes up on 12-9 in Penn State, where instead of going into something familiar, because I really kept thinking they were playing Man Who Stepped Into Yesterday, not Dogface Boy, but they let it go that night in Penn State and ended up 30 minutes later.
In kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one they pulled. Did it not sound like Man Who Stepped Into Yesterday to you, or is that just me mishearing it?
I can hear why you heard that, but my mind didn't go there. Like I can hear that flavor in it, but my mind didn't go there. I actually really loved that 2-minute build up with Dogface Boy and the transition from actually all of these segues, so I don't have to repeat myself. All the way through Groove were, I think, incredible. They were very solid. Yeah, Dogface Boy was cool, and it just felt like a continuation of Simple, really, too. Like, obviously, they changed it up, and it was a different song, but even into Yamar, like, these all just felt like the same,
Right, Dogface Boy, were they ever playing the song musically? I know Trey sang it. It just didn't, I don't know. I found it something weird about it, something just not exactly like the album. I didn't throw the album on and listen to it, but
it sounded like the chord progression was Dogface Boy, but the rhythm and the
like they weren't quite sure.
No, I think they were very sure. I think they were doing that on purpose because I think it was a mix up of Yamar and Simple. Like you take those kind of rhythms and then you played the chord progression over it.
Can we get more Dogface Boy? Can that make a comeback?
Andy agrees with you. I think he didn't like it. I liked it. I liked it being different. And I like that they took their time with it for 2 minutes and just kind of sat in it. It's all right. Nothing is sacred when you have a silly ass band. I mean,
apparently Trey's grandpa was there, huh?
Oh, really?
That's why he was going to, he's my grandpa. And then he said Leo's going to play it for whatever his name was.
Or somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the Yamar was fantastic. The jam in the Yamar might have been one of the highlights of the show for me. They really, I felt like it was just fun. They were just at that point had thrown it all out the window and we're just having fun with it. And 11 minutes Yamar, I'll take it.
I was kind of caught off guard and pleasantly surprised how interesting rhythmically the end of that jam was. I was almost tempted because I was listening to it right before we came on here and I was like worried I was going to run out of time. So I was almost tempted to like, oh, maybe I'll skip it, but I couldn't. This and Weekapaug was like, man, it was just held my attention so well through the whole both jams, and I feel like Phish was the MVP. It's something you could easily give it to Trey or Mike or Paige for all their contributions, but I think with consistency through these jams and all the things he was doing, I think Phish might have been my MVP for these. I mean, I don't know. I always
when
say that
isn't
though,
Phish
right?
your
I know. He was doing. You got to at the end of Mumar in particular, though. He was doing some crazy shit.
Right. They were doing some crazy shit at the beginning of Weekapaug because that was not Weekapaug. Again, I don't think they were playing the song they thought they were.
Yeah, I think it like fell into it though. Like it wasn't like a rehearse, like drop on a dime, like all right, now we're in Weekapaug. But I like that better, where they kind of like morph into it, and not everybody gets there at the same time, but it never feels like they're disjointed entirely. Like I think that's the reason why Phish's stop, start, intro into simple bugged me, because everything else through this chain felt really, you know how our conversations are? Like we're talking and then I'll go off on a tangent because I'm ADD as fuck, but then I'll come back to it and then you go off and then back. And that's how I like, right, when you go topic to topic, that's how I like the segues to work, where you kind of, you tease it, you come off of it, you're going around. As long as you keep it interesting and they're playing together, it works. I think if you're like, okay, now we stop. Okay, now let's talk about this, right? Like, I don't know. That's not as interesting or satisfying for me as the organic transitions.
There you, I'm with you. Once they got past the opening vocal on it, though, got into that nice Rolling Stonesy kind of feel jam to it, and then actually took it out a little bit more, got weird, and finally hit it at the end when they went back into Weekapaug to close it. They were the right speed.
Yeah, it was like, oh, there it is. Which actually, in a way, and I don't know if this was their plan or not, made it have more oomph at the end, right? Like after that journey and everything that they had done into it, it made it a lot bigger to close it. I felt I think that was a really big, fun way to end that groove. This is still a groove, right? Like Mike's groove, right? Like this whole sandwich, you would close it out. Because sometimes when they put groove at like the end of the set or they like fuck with it, it feels completely disjointed. But this felt like one long thought, right? Like one
novel.
Yeah. I agree. We agree.
All right, bouncing around the room. It's like a cockroach. No matter what era of Phish, bouncing is there, hanging out.
Yeah, you know that dead game that you were telling about, like guess the year of the. I feel like some songs with Phish I could nail it, but bouncing is like I would have no idea. I'd be like, that's 97 or 21 or 92. I don't know. It all sounds the same.
But completely interchangeable.
Yeah, it works though, and you know I think this is a good spot for it. And I thought that zero was fun. Oh, a cool way to end a fantastic set.
You know, they were still, that was their big rock and roll arena set closer at the time. They hadn't gotten, there wasn't
had some legs though. How long was it?
I think it topped 11 minutes.
Yeah. That had some legs to it.
You know, there had been a lot of shorter sets along this tour, but I'm glad that this one, lots of micro jams, I guess is what we've been calling them through the songs, and a lot of thematic unity. I felt it was balanced.
Yeah, I agree. So an interesting point on .net, you know how they have the jam charts listed?
Mm-hmm.
The entire second set, with the exception of bouncing, are jam charts. Every single song is representing a jam chart version of that song, which is crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen that like that before. That's pretty wild. Yeah, and then I guess I don't have much to say about the encore. You want to say anything about it?
I love Ginseng Sullivan. It's probably my favorite of the bluegrass country tunes, the kind of thing Mike pushed at one time. Now we always get Nellie Kane or Old Home Place.
Yeah. They're all very similar to me. Like I couldn't really tell you which one I like better than the other. They're fine. I like them, but
it's all about the lyrics with the bluegrass.
Right, which is why
team.
I'm like, yeah. I have no idea. That's cool. And then sample to close. That's kind of unique, right?
Yeah. It's almost like an arrow in your heel. It's all right. The sample was just a song that they tried to have as a hit song that they released as a single, I think, in my mind at that time.
Yeah.
I hadn't grown fond of it with age.
I mean, I love the song, but I don't know. It's fine. It's good. I don't want to say anything negative about this show. This show is fun as shit to listen to. I'm glad we're doing this. It's a lot. It's a lot of Phish to listen to in 2 days, and it's a lot of us for you guys to come and listen to. But
I had it easy because I was there. There is actually great videos on YouTube of the 12-3 first set and second set.
Oh, nice.
So it isn't the new recording that was released, but if you want to watch there's a cam video of the whole thing that's pretty good.
You got any other stories from the your Spectrum from being there in person?
Well, the first night we got there and went right in because the people I went with worked. The second night I got up there at like 11 in the morning and the lot was already raging. Went up, bought my ticket, started drinking. So by the time, like when 6 o'clock, 6:30 rolled around, whenever they opened the door, I went in just because I needed to sit down. And I took like a nap. I took like a nap for an hour and I woke up. It was like 7:30. The whole section had filled in around me. And I was like, all right, let's do this.
I admire you, sir. If I took a nap at that point, I would be out for the night. It would be so hard after raging all day and then take a nap. That's it. I'm done.
Went and got one of them fountain Coca-Colas, jacked myself up on caffeine, and really, I think tomorrow the show we're gonna do tomorrow is better of the two. So
yeah, I was sneaking a peek, looking ahead, and I'm pretty excited about that.
My
I think
favorite
you're right
Bowie.
too that the Charleston one's gonna suffer a little bit from these.
It's my favorite Bowie tomorrow.
And
the one for tomorrow.
And my favorite Gumbo, which personally might be one of my favorite songs. So
the yam in the middle of the set, it's gonna be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
I do like sleeping in Philly, the nappy kind of town.
I'm growing to love Philly, but it's taking everything I got. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.